we want to thank Lucas Oil Products for coming on board with the show. It means so much to us. We've been in a 12-year relationship with those guys over there. They sponsor the Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour broadcast for all the years that we were out there, except for one, I believe. So they believed in Mostly Motorsports, and here we are, man. We're doing this show, and it's it is what it is. It's just, listen, I don't write down many notes, right? I write down a few bullet points just to remind myself of a couple topics. But for the most part, this show is going to be about opinions, and as the season goes on, I'll start the show off with a little monologue and be giving you my opinions about what I feel is going on in motorsports and what's happening during the time. That could include talking about drivers that are out there. It could be talking about racetracks that are not in the greatest condition. And one of the guys that's not afraid to speak what's on his mind, he's been a long-time friend of the RacinBoys. And maybe one of the greatest stories I've ever told about a non-wing sprint car driver was when Robert Ballou put all four wheels up in the fluff and lapped all the way up to third place at Lakeside Speedway. Robert Ballou joins us now on the show. Robert, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing all right, bud. How about that day that you did that at Lakeside Speedway? Was that the first time you'd ever done that, put all four wheels up in the fluff and just smoked everybody like that?
No, I think I had done back in the day, I say back in the day, probably 2010 or so, Kokomo Speedway, and even prior to that, probably 7, 8, 9, Kokomo Speedway used to build a curb about 3/4 the way up the track, and guys like Brad Sweet, when he was driving for Yaley and stuff, they would, or me and a couple other guys, Darren Clayton, we'd all try and, if you could make 30 laps above the cushion, you would win, but it wasn't the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, for sure.
But that particular night at Lakeside, in the heat race, I had went up there one lap, and I'm like, oh, this is so good, I can't show my hand. I think I did it after the checkered, and I'm like, this is where I'm going. So I knew from before we even pushed out for the feature where I was headed, and I didn't think anybody was creative enough because it was so slick below it because it had rained and whatnot that I had my game plan, and it just happened to work out perfect.
Yeah. Let's go back, but we'll talk USAC here in just a moment because you're a past national champion. But I want to talk about the old TNT days when Emmett Hahn used to have that touring topless.
That was great.
That was good times, wasn't it, man? And those races paid some pretty good money.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Maybe now that they've backpedaled or sold off to what Terry, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll happen.
Maybe we need to talk. Know. Maybe we need to talk Terry into doing it, right?
Yeah. He obviously seems to have plenty of energy by watching him at the Chili Bowl. Maybe that's something that he would go for.
We're visiting with the 2015 USAC National Sprint Car Series champion. He's got 36 wins. I gotta go over these stats a little bit, right? You've been in 571 USAC races. You've won 36 of them. How about this? 94 podium finishes in that time. You've been the fastest. You've had the fastest laps 12 times. Your win percentage is 6.3, but the podium finish is what's impressing me. 16.5% of the time you're on the podium. That means you're one of the best in the business there, Robert.
Yeah, there was a point that I felt like we got on top of the world, per se, where between Don Ott and myself and Derek, we got good engines, and I got one good engine. I sold out and sold everything I had and took every money I had out of my savings account and bought one brand new motor, and that kind of changed my whole program. And then I ran 28 nights and was able to rebuild that engine, which was longer than he wanted me to run it, but I had no choice. It was the only thing I had. but I made enough money in those 28 nights to rebuild it and buy another one, just off race winnings and stuff. So I did that, and meanwhile, you work full time, and Derek worked full time at the same time. So we worked, but every night we'd go to the shop and work for 3 or 4 hours and 5 hours, and get everything done. And when you're riding the high, it's easy to stay on the saddle, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
and once I broke my neck and back, and we were done for 8 months, and that kind of take the wind out of your sails. And then
did you think
it was a little bit of a struggle?
Did you think about quitting during that time?